Hi, everybody. This is Bondilyn Jolly with Elm Street in 365, and I'm super excited to talk with Jim Lownstern today. He's the president of Castles Unlimited, and he has built a really tremendous real estate empire. And I'm just really excited for Jim to share his story, his background, and the evolution of where Castles Unlimited is going. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Great, Bondilyn. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for connecting with me today. So, I've been working with you most of, I think, 2021 on recruitment initiatives and business growth. And I'm just so impressed with the Castles Unlimited story. You have just built a fantastic real estate business up in the Northeast of the United States. So let's just jump right in and have a great conversation. Like, what attracted you to real estate? How did you even get into this real estate story?
Well, we go back about 40 years ago. I had a commercial property that wasn't being sold by brokers for whatever reason. It could have been that the interest rates were close to 20% at that point, but I was still blaming them for not getting it sold. So eventually, when a buyer did show up with a broker, I had to pretty much write the whole contract. After I sold the property, I found myself in Florida. And after being totally bored for a couple of months, I took the real estate licensing course and started selling real estate in Palm Beach.
So it was truly if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself kind of business model.
Yeah, it just felt right. It felt like I was needed to make that deal happen in Massachusetts, and I had nothing but time on my hands when I moved to Florida. I was like a 25-year-old retiree.
Oh, man. And I think it's kind of interesting because I think that you told me early on in your career, you worked for multiple real estate firms, and they just one after the other, they said, or kept folding in on themselves.
So just two offices in Palm Beach. One, I was there for maybe a week or two, and then the rest of my years, I was with Defina Realty, one block off of Worth Avenue, and that was an independent. When I started in Massachusetts, I worked for a company that had, I don't know, it could have had like 15, 16 offices. And I think the manager of that particular office felt some kind of competition from me. It was a very strange situation anyway. But I worked for 5 offices in Newton, Massachusetts within the first 5 months of getting my license. And eventually I met a builder who was going to give me all his listings, and he had a broker's license, and he had a friend that had a broker's license. So the three of us started a partnership, and I called the company Castles Unlimited, and I did nearly 100%, even though I didn't have the broker's license.
Wow. And Castles has expanded. I mean, you have Castles Unlimited, you've got a commercial division, you have a luxury division. So tell me a little bit about the growth of the organization.
So lots of trademarks. Castles Unlimited is a registered trademark. Castles, the singular word for the luxury residential division. Castles Commercial is a trademark. It's not registered. 100% Plus, which was a trademark I got when Remax came on the scene, and they were telling everyone that their commissions were 100%. And I knew somehow that was just arithmetically impossible. You'd go out of business. So I said, well, if they're 100%, my math is I'm 100% plus. So in time, I noticed Keller Williams and EXP both using 100% plus in their marketing materials. So even though we're brokering with EXP right now, I also have a cease and desist against them.
So this is interesting because you've got 35 years behind Castles Unlimited and that story and all of that brand equity. And yet, like you just said, you actually chose to align yourself earlier this year with EXP. And I think that is a really interesting story because you have a very, very successful company that you've built. And yet you finally pulled that trigger and decided to align yourself with an organization, a franchise organization like EXP. Tell me a little bit about that story.
Yeah, when I first was introduced to EXP, that was approximately 10 years ago. They had 300 agents. And the only thing they were really talking about, they walked us through their metaverse, which I didn't really see the need for that. They went over the residual income grid, which I was making more off of the splits with my agents than 3.5%. I didn't see the math working, and the technology wasn't blowing me away. And then 300 agents worldwide, and the stock was 19 cents a share. It just didn't seem like something that necessarily was going to succeed. Fast forward to when I took another look at it. I'm older now. I've got to be looking at really what the future of my company is, and how it's going to operate, and who's going to be doing it. Am I going to be at my desk and literally die at my desk cutting checks to agents? It made me look again. Let's put it that way. And then when I looked again, I see they have something called a leaderboard. And typically, with most large organizations, I was with a franchise for several years, the leaderboard is for sales numbers. Their leaderboard was for residual income, which means that a lot of these people are not doing anything. They're retired. And in some cases, the top of the leaderboard, they were making $1 million a month or more. And those numbers were going up every month. And I'm sitting on the sidelines going, what would I do with $1 million a month? And the truth of the matter is, if you ask most agents, what's the dollar amount that would really change their lifestyle or their work situation, it could be $10,000 a month. It doesn't need to be $1 million a month. Any little bit would help. But it's really the time element. They've come up with some genius formula to not just expand their company, but change the lives of their agents. And it's evident now. It's not 19 cents a share, and it's not 300 agents. It's
70,000 agents, right?
70,000 agents. The stock, if you take into account that it split last year, is like $80, $90 a share. It's a profitable company, and the stock pays a dividend. And they're giving stock out to the agents for recruitment and anniversaries and sales, and agents can buy discounted stock. There's a lot to learn. It's not one thing. A lot of agents will focus on one thing. They'll say, "Oh, EXP, I don't want to recruit. That means that I can't work at EXP." Well, that's silliness, because there's so many reasons why recruitment is something you should consider, but at the same time, lower caps, higher splits, the stock, all that stuff plays into how much people are going to be earning. And then it's the people, the actual network. We have nothing but like free coaching, training. Now, when I'm running my own company, I had to provide all of that all the time to all the agents, whether I'm the trainer or my admins are the trainers, my trainers are the trainers. All that has to be paid for. So there's about a dozen things that eventually made me say, I've got to try this.
I think it's interesting. Back early, you also mentioned KW. And I remember, KW was seen as this really, truly disruptive model. And I remember when EXP first came out into the space, and I know the term disruptive is a little overused now, but they truly were like a very disruptive model. And it's been interesting to watch the evolution of that organization. So you take a disruptive model and then you take Castles Unlimited, and you've sort of layered a little bit of your own disruption on top of it, and have done some really unique things on top of the EXP brand. And I think for one thing, I want to talk about your influencers initiative, because I think that is really very unique in what you're doing there. And then I also want to talk a little bit about the fact that with EXP, like, you did not have to lose the brand equity around your Castles Unlimited name, that's something that you can still leverage and utilize and build upon, and that you're just ultimately powered by EXP. And I think that's a really, really, strong value proposition for you.
Right. I would say they've just been awesome in every way they possibly could be. We're moving a large team over. There's a lot of personalities. Not everyone gets it, so they're working through that. All I can say is they've allowed us to use our trademarks pretty much as we want them. We're being brokered by EXP, so that's down below our trademark. So we're front and center. My white paper has been making the circuit, let's just say. So EXP in itself is not something you can literally teach someone about or educate someone about in 5 minutes. So I'm not even going to start. So that's a new paradigm. I'm here to answer any questions anytime anybody wants, because they've actually told me that I'm probably better versed in everything EXP than people that have been there for forever. In my white paper, that's another. So it's like a new paradigm on top of a new paradigm. So I also looked at it like I wanted to expand my company from the day I started with franchising to be a worldwide brand. So how do I do that with Castles Unlimited? I'd have to be licensed in 50 states. We are licensed now in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. I have a sales license in Florida, not a broker's license. So basically 36 going on to 37 years and 3 states. So as soon as I jump on the EXP platform, 50 states and 19 countries. I was actually using the residual income grid for my recruiters. So nothing really changed there. We topped out at 35 agents. They topped out at 40. I mean, other than that, it was exactly the same, because I looked at it and said, I tried 10%, 3.5 makes a lot more sense. 10% in one layer doesn't give you all the people that are going to then try to recruit on their own. So it was the genius of their system that over time just got to me. Then I'm looking at my company, my trademarks, and the residual income that I'm going to get from the growth of Castles Unlimited on the EXP platform. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to give a good chunk of my residual income away to this company that's now going to be owned by the agents. So when they recruit, they get shares of stock. Now they own not just part of my company, but they own the cash flow from a publicly traded company.
And that's your influencers initiative, correct?
Well, we're looking to give top agents 1 million shares of stock in the next 5 years. I would say those numbers are going to change. Right now, it's ground floor. Over time, as more and more agents come in, we're giving them stock to also give to the people that are going to be in their downline to build their teams up. So, how fast this grows, the goal is to be the number one team with EXP. And I don't think that I've ever heard of anybody actually setting up a corporation to capture the residual income and then distribute it. They could be dividends, or it could just be used for marketing of the team. The way I look at it, with the stock being freely given to other agents, the agents are going to grow the team all on their own.
That's amazing, Jim. You're going to become like one of those shining stars inside of the EXP model, and what those case studies of what everybody should be doing inside of that model. It's a fantastic story. And so now you're also a best-selling author. You wrote your $1 Million Year in Real Estate, which I think you published around 2015. And I understand there's another book in the works, but I love your the mentorship. And I think that's one of the things I've enjoyed working with you on over the course of this, whole year that we've worked together is that mentorship approach, that servant leadership approach. And I think that, just ties into even what you're trying to do at EXP, that idea that you're just truly trying to empower and nurture the agents and individuals that are coming in and serve as an educator and a mentor is wonderful.
Thank you, Bondilyn.
Yeah. And so I know we're sharing some contact information for people that are interested in learning more about Castles Unlimited, about EXP, coming in on that ground floor with you. So you can contact Jim by email, by telephone, or visit his recruitment site. So any of the information that is shared here, feel free to reach out to Jim. Jim, for our friends and colleagues that are watching this interview today, what words of advice do you have in closing for everybody that's watching?
Well, I think the most important thing is keep an open mind.
You never know where life's going to take you, right? You never know where your career is going to take you.
Hear someone, listen to them. There's a couple of stories here that are worth listening to. I mean, there's plenty of EXP agents out there that'll tell you a good part of it. My story is a very different story, but I think that if you're reading the real estate industry news, EXP is making headlines, and there's a reason for it. And I think that some people they're probably changing their attitude about the brand.
Well, excellent. Well, Jim, thank you so much for sharing your story today. I hope that a lot of people reach out to you and you're interested in talking to agents, teams, brokers, anybody who's interested in learning about the EXP model and understanding it a little more in depth, correct?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Jim, best of luck with you with everything with EXP. It's going to be a really interesting story to continue to follow for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Take care, everybody. Bye.